अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So just chant the invocation mantra. Satchitananda Rupaya Krishnaya Klishtakarine नमो वेदांत वेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे कृष्णद्वैपायनं व्यासं सर्वलोकहिते रतं वेदाब्ज भास्करं वन्दे शमादिनिलयं मुनिं सहस्रमूर्तै पुरुषोत्तमस्य सहस्रनेत्रानपादबाहोः सहस्रनाम्नां स्तवनं प्रशस्तं निरुच्यते जन्मजरादिशान्तैः। So let's read the first few mantras. For those of you who have good text, you can read at your own pace. Om Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashantaye Vyasam Vashishta Naptaram Shaktai Pautramakalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukatatam Taponidhim Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha Avikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaika Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Sarvajishnave Yasya Smarana Matrena Janma Samsara Bandhanat Vimuchyate Namastasmai Vishnave Prabha Vishnave. Om Namo Vishnave Prabha Vishnave. Sri Vaishampayana Uvacha Shutva Dharmana Sheshena Pavanani Cha Sarvashaha Yudhishthirashantanavam Punarevabhyabhasataha. Yudhishthira Uvacha Kimekam Daivatam Loke Kim Vapyekam Parayanam Stuvantakam Kamarchantah Prapnur Manava Shubham Ko Dharma Sarva Dharmanam Bhavatah Paramo Mataha Kim Japan Muchyate Jantur Janma Samsara Bandhanat. So Yudhishthira Vacha, or Yudhishthira is now asking the question to Bhishma. So the question we saw already, but just for repetition. Kim Ekam Daivatam. So who is that one Lord? Kim Ekam Devataha. And Kim Va Ekam Parayanam. So who is the one to be known? So Parayanam, Ayanam means destination, and Paraha means that final abode or Paramatma. So Narayana is called Paraha. So Parayanam, or the final destination or the final abode. Who is that person, or who is to be known in that particular capacity? And comes Tuvantaha. So who is the one to be praised? Also we saw. And come Archantaha. So Archayati or Archanam means the one who offers prayers, who offers oblations in the form of flowers or chanting or anything which is offered is called Archantaha. Is one of the 9 different types of bhakti. Archanam. In the Bhagavatam, there is Navada Bhakti which is described, and one of them is Archanam, Pujanam, Padasevanam. Then Prapyuhu Manava Shubham. So, what is that by which the mankind will benefit? So, what is that by which the mankind will benefit? Then we saw also, this is the first question he asked. Then he also asked, Ko Dharmaha, means what is the dharma which I have to follow? So there are several dharmas, and Yudhishthira being a Dharma Raja, a person who is already well versed in dharmas. He is asking the question which dharma one should follow. So you can imagine the amount of clarity Bhishma would have had, but due to various reasons or due to various emotional entanglement the person had, he was not able to fulfill the dharma of what he is supposed to do. So the person can be in the court of the Kauravas. There are several people who were well-knowledge people. There were, all these acharyas were there, who were supposed to be only doing teaching. But they were all sitting in the court along with all the mantris. They were enjoying the luxury. And whenever you become obligated to somebody, you also have to be obligated. You have to do an obligation. Whereas guru or a teacher, dakshina, or you never, because it is always free things. You never ask for anything from anybody. Because the Brahmagyanam is free. And Brahmagyanam is available to anyone who is desirable, who is eligible, who is an adhikari, is given to the person. So even though there are people in the court of Duryodhana, there were not many people who were willing to exercise dharma. So even though you may know dharma, but you will not be able to exercise because of various issues. So we say ko dharmaha, right? And of all sarva dharmana, so of all the dharmas, which is the most, that dharma one should follow. And kim japaha uchyate. So what is that by which one should chant or one should keep saying the mantra regularly? How janma samsara bandhana. So what is that prayer or what is that we should chant or utter by which one will get freedom from samsara? Janma samsara bandhana. So this is what we saw the last time. And for those of you who were not there last time, I'm just going to list the different dharmas which we discussed. I already talked about it elaborately in the last class. But because he's talking about sarva dharmana, one must know what are the dharmas. So we have different types of dharmas in our literature. And all of them are not specific to any particular sect. It is universal. So something called Sanatana Dharma. So Sanatanam Dharma means which has got no beginning or no end. So we all come from Sanatana Dharma, which is, this has been there, the Bhagavans or the Ishwaras Srishti, in which dharmas or the laws have been created for many, many years. We do not even know what dharma, many dharmas are there. We know only to some extent what we know. Just as when you go to the ocean and you take a fistful of sand, that is what you know. The rest of them, which is there, the rest of the sand, we do not know what they are. So you need to know that. And it is impossible for a person to know all of them. That is why we face Sanatana Dharma. Whatever Dharma is there, is even there, you accept as Bhagavan's Prasada. Ishwara Arpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi. So it's also a Dharma. Then Samanya Dharma. So Samanya Dharma is universal laws. So there is nothing special about it. Not telling lies, not hurting somebody, because you do not want to be hurt by somebody. So you also should not be hurting somebody. It is the expectation by everyone. So Samanya Dharma. Then we have Vishesha Dharma. That is a dharma which is applicable for a specific person. Say if you are a Brahmana or if you're a particular sect, you're following a particular, you've got a specific dharma for that. So if you're a Kshatriya, you should follow Kshatriya dharma. So this was all set up in the olden days when the Varnashrama was there, and everybody had their own obligations, they had their own rules, and everybody operated within the boundaries. Now Kshatriya can become Shudra, Shudra can become Brahmana, everything is all possible. All mixes are possible. And Brahmana is not a Brahmana also today. See, Brahmana is supposed to be a Brahmana, you cannot call. See, according to the Shastram, Brahmana is different completely. If you are just born in a family or a kula where there is, you can call you are from a Brahmana kulam, Shastram doesn't accept it. Shastram says everybody is Shudra. Janmani Shudra. Means by birth everybody is Shudra. Why? Because Shudra is a person in Shastram who is ignorant, who is a deluded person, a person who doesn't know the Atma Jnanam or the truth about one's own self. So Janmani Shudra. By karma, one becomes a Dvijaha. That means twice born. So Dvijaha means twice born. First is born from the mother's womb, which is called Janma. The second time, the opportunity is given for when the Upanayana takes place for the Brahmana. So even the olden days, even the girls also had Upanayana. But after the particular age, when they become mature, it is not possible for them to do that. So the Upanayana was not continued for these people. So the young, before the particular age was they had also Upanayana. And they were inducted into all these rituals about teaching, about learning Shastram, etc. were there. So Dvijaha. So they become twice born. Then Veda Pataneti Vipraha. By studying the Vedas, you become Vipraha. So by studying Shastram, by studying all the Veda Angas, you become Vipraha, you become a knowledgeable person, Vipraha. Brahma Jnana iti Brahmana. A person who knows who Brahman is, whose consciousness is, or the person whose Swarupa means the truth of one's own true nature is a Brahmana. This is the definition of Brahmana given in the Veda. So it is not just that just because we are from a particular culture, a particular religion. There are so many people out there who are not from any of this tradition. They are interested, they learn a lot of things, they are well knowledge, they are well read about everything. So Shastram or Vedam is not for a particular religion or a caste or anybody, it is a universal law. That is why it says Sanatana Dharma. So Vishesha Dharma is what we talked about. Then Varnashrama Dharma is there. So Varnashrama means what? If you are a Brahmacharyam, you have to follow Brahmacharya Ashrama. If you are a Grahastha, you have to follow a Grahastha Ashrama. So married people who are there, they are called Grahasthas. So they live in the house, they follow the duties, responsibilities. They should know what Dharma is, number one. What is Grahastha Ashrama Dharma, they should know. If you do not know, then it is impossible for you to follow Dharma also. Then after the 60 years or so, or normally when it is 55 or so, you are supposed to go to Vanaprastha or Vanaprastha. So you are supposed to leave all your duties, etc., what you have done to your children, etc. And then you pursue the path of knowledge 100%. You do not have any other commitments. No more hanging around people, no more hanging around requirement for getting the children married. They're looking after the granddaughter, grandson. All expectations are all to be remote. They have to be all negative or to be removed. So then finally, after that, you become Sannyasa Ashrama. So Sannyasa Ashrama is something optional you can take if you want to, or if you do not want to, you can still be in Vanaprastha also. Then we have Kula Dharma. Yeah.
So can you please repeat what is the Dharma after Vishesha Dharma?
So it's called Varnashrama Dharma. Varna
Yes,
Ashrama.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So Varnashrama means now you're all brahmacharis, correct? Or you're all not married. So brahmacharya means, so you've got a certain dharma to follow. So
Okay, sir.
then you got brahmacharyam, grahastha, the people who are married, they are grahastha. So your parents are grahasthas, so they have some duties to perform towards you and towards themselves also, and to society also. Then Vanaprastha is for the people who already finished Grahasthashrama, their children are grown up, they are married already, and now they have, they got their own dharma to follow. In such a case, then you're supposed to be leaving them alone or not just interfering in their life, not clinging around them, hanging around them, and just letting them go. And you follow your dharma, which is Vanaprastha. So you follow studying, teaching, etc. What you want to do, you do that. Then finally you sannyasa ashrama. So from brahmacharya also you can go to sannyasa ashrama also. You do not need to get married, you do not need to go all these hassles, etc. to go to sannyasa ashrama. Shastram allows you to be from brahmacharyam, not getting married, and finally also go to sannyasa, if you have got the mental ability and the preparedness of the mind. Then you got Yuga Dharma, we talked about, which is for the particular Yuga. If you are in Kali Yuga, what Dharma you should practice, you should know. Manushya Dharma, which is the universal law as per the Manu Shastra. So Manu Shastram is a very big topic, very huge topic about Manu Shastra. So what is said in the Manu Shastram is called Manushya Dharma. Then we got Stri Dharma, Purusha Dharma, Raja Dharma, Rashtra Dharma. So Rashtra Dharma means the dharma which one should know for the country. So in those days, there was a particular called Rashtra. So the country. What is the law of the country? What are the rules of the country? One should know. And one should abide by the law of the country. Then Praja Dharma. See, the Raja Dharma is supposed to be what? The person who's governing the Rashtra or the government also was a king at that time. So the king should know what dharma is towards his people. The king should know all the dharmas, because a person is supposed to be the king should be able to adjudicate on every dharma, because the king is supposed to be the topmost person. He cannot make mistakes. He cannot say that I don't know my dharma. Sorry, I don't know about it. Then nobody will respect him as a king. See, today's ministers, today people who are there, they are just come just like that. So they do not know many situations, how to handle many things. And the people who got ministers also, they also not qualified to handle all the situations. So that is why we have got all the problems. Right? So in the olden days, the Raja itself was a Rishi. So the Raja Rishi. Like King Janaka was actually a Raja Rishi. So he was a very, very knowledgeable person, and people used to go to him for Dharma Vidya. He should teach to the other Rishis. But he was a king also. So by being a king, he was able to do the duty of being a Raja Rishi, explaining all these things, also able to govern the country properly. So Praja Dharma is important. So every person who is a Praja means we, the people who are there, they should know what is their duties and responsibilities. Right? Then Shastram tells you two other dharmas. One is called Pravritti Dharma and Nivritti Dharma. That means Pravritti means the path of Karma Yoga, and the other is called the path of Jnana Yoga. So two dharmas are being specified. Then Swadharma. So one should know what is one's own dharma. You cannot say that, I don't know my dharma. If you do not know, you should go and ask somebody, what is my dharma? A dharma of a cat is different from a dog's dharma. So everybody is different. So their dharmas are different. So they should know. That's what we talked about. So if you do not know the dharmas, suppose if you do not know the dharmas and you commit mistakes or sins, the Shastram has got called Pancha Maha Patakaha. So Pancha Maha Pavam, or 5 big sins, is being listed as the one who commits activities which are not in conformity with Dharma. See, our entire Shastram is called Dharma Shastram. So everything, our Vedic life is determined by Dharma. So Dharma is the one by which everything is held. So one has to follow Artha through Dharma. One has to follow Kama through Dharma. One has to follow, Moksha also through Dharma. Everything should be Dharmic way only. That's why Dharma is given emphasis in this particular Ko Dharma Sarva Dharmana. Why does he ask like this? Ko Dharma Sarva Dharmana. because he himself doesn't know what he is. He knows many dharmas, but out of that, which is the shrestha dharma, he does not know. That is why this topic is discussing all these dharmas, which is not in the book or anywhere else. This is all the interpretation, the Bhashyam, which is the Bhashyakara has given on these things. So the Mahapatakaha, first one, is called Mahapatakaha. So Mahapataka means what? A greatest sin. And what are those? Number one is killing a Brahmana, Brahmahatya. So a person who is studying Vedas, a person who is studying Shastram, or a person who is pursuing knowledge, and such a person is injured or killed, or he is tortured, or some way made uncomfortable, it is called Brahmahatya. So for these things, there is no recourse. You just have to undergo all the difficulties and pains one has to encounter. Then second thing talks about is Surapanaha. Surapanaha means drinking liquor. So drinking liquor is also not permitted when you are on the path of studying Shastra. See, if you are not studying, etc., you are not worried about Dharma at all. But if you are going to be pursuing Dharma, you are going to be studying Shastram, then for such a person, when he is on the track of studying, then Surapanaha also is not allowed. In Rudram it says Surapanaha Puto Bhavati. So what it says here in Rudram, a person who chants Rudram daily can be cured of this sin called Surapanaha. Surapanaha Puto Bhavati. But Brahmahatya na Puto Bhavati. So Brahmahatya person who does it, he cannot be cleansed, he cannot be cured anyway. So Brahmahatya does not mean that a Brahmana. A person who is sincere, who follows Vedas, who is dharmic, who is for such a person, sattvic person, if you kill the person or harm the person, it's called Brahmahatya. Then theft, stealing. Stealing from a guru, stealing from a brahmachari is also supposed to be Mahapataka. Then infanticide, killing an embryo or a fetus is supposed to be the sin according to Shastra, because it is the whole view is actually of ahimsa, of not hurting anybody and not killing anybody and let life go on. So before you do the decision, you have to be very careful about it. So committing the sins or secret sins, committing stealing the wealth of the guru, the teacher, or a temple, or a dvijaha, a boy who is done upaneyanam. To such people it is called Mahapatakaha. So they are great sins for which there is no recourse. There is no pariharam available. You have to just undergo. You cannot do prayachittam saying that I will kill the Brahmana and I will steal temple money. I'll construct a big palatial house. Then I'll do prayachittam. I'll become bankrupt or I'll become insolvent. Or this is not all acceptable in Shastra. So these are all against law or against moral ethics. So it's called Mahapatakaha. Then we have got something called Upapatakaha. Means something which is less. Upapatakaha. So Upa means small. Something which is not of the greater order as the Mahapatakaha, but something less. What are those? Eating contaminated food. So when I say contaminated food means you are indirectly eating all the food which the fridge Bhagavan has given. So the fridge Bhagavan is called the contaminated food. Because due to whatever reason we have, in the olden days there was no fridge at all. So they were used to make fresh food that day and they used to distribute food that day to the beggars or anyone who comes there. There was no food being carried forward or there's no fridge was there at all in the olden days. So now we've got a fridge Bhagavan sitting there in my house also there. Everybody's house is there. There are 2-3 Bhagavans also are there. people who have got capacity, they've got one sitting in the garage, a big freezer, one sitting in the main hall, and another small fridge for other small things, liquor, etc. You've got. So there are different types of Bhagavans are there. And we keep different Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Friday when it comes out, all those things Bhagavan will come out one by one from the fridge. So this is Monday's carry forward food, sambar will come out. Tuesday's curry will come out. Then Friday is a day for cleansing. So Friday what do? You don't cook that day because you already see so much of food lying there. And you cannot throw them out also because you like them. So Shastram, what it says is here, because the food when you prepare that day, it is fresh. It is actually, it's got nutrients, everything in that. And food becomes a source of your inspiration for you. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's an elaborate chapter called only food. One full topic, one full chapter is only for describing food. What food has to be eaten, what food should not be eaten by a person who is on the path of the study. So it says, too spicy food, extreme spice. So that once you put your mouth in, you start crying, all this, you start sweating all everything. So it is not allowed. You should not eat too spicy food. You must not eat too much of salty food also, very pungent food. Some of the food when you eat, you got this pungency, right? By the time you cook also, you'll know the smell. Pungent food, extreme salty, stale food. So stale means that which has got, who's already finished, he's already gone to some loka already. So there's no jivan left there. And what do? You add spice there, you make it better, and then you consume it. So it is said that these are not allowed in the Shastram because food plays an important role in the development of a person's sattvic ability. So you should try to minimize it. Sometimes due to the modern world or where we live in, we cannot avoid sometimes. But you try to minimize it by understanding how much you want to eat, how much you can eat, and preparing that much food only required for that particular day, and then discarding it or giving to somebody else, or to whatever it is, Bhuta Yajna, you can give them. And they will. So in our house, we have got Bhuta Yajna called the Posam Yajna. So we have a dedicated Posam who comes every day at about 9:30 or 10 o'clock. It is trained. So whatever is not there, which we cannot, we just prepare separately, keep it, and we just give it. Next day morning, there will be nothing left there. It's all clean. So we have tried to develop the practice. So the possum also increases, it survives. You do not consume the food. So that's why it's called Upapataka. Then second thing is called not fulfilling the obligations to the Bhagavan, to the God, Rishis or the Vedas. So by not worshipping the Bhagavan or not worshipping your duties to the Almighty and not worshipping the sages or the Rishis is called Upapatakaha. Then killing a woman, Strihatya or Vaishyaha or a Shudraha. So killing a woman, a Vaishya or a Shudraha. Shudra is supposed to be a person who is actually of the service community because he doesn't fall under, he can't do business, he cannot become a Brahmana, he can't study Vedam, he cannot become something, so businessman. So he's actually helping out people carry the activities. So because of the stature the person has got, these people are regarded as lowly people. So one must not do any damages, one must not inflict any harm to these people. So it's called Upapatakaha. Then, so Mahapatakaha, Upapatakaha. You got right? So there are, Shastram says these are injunctions. These are all the one you should not do. If you are doing it, you try to minimize it, and then over a period of time, you make sure that you are out of this. Then Jati Brahmshaha. So Jati Brashtaha, and say Jati Brahmshaha means committing sins because of Jati. or because of religion. So somebody of higher caste, creating trouble for the lower caste or the Shudraha. So they call Jati Bramshaha, or beating a Brahmana, or suppressing a servant or a Shudraha. They are all called Jati Bramshaha. Smelling liquor. So drinking liquor is called Mahapatakaha, and smelling liquor is called, I would like to just smell. Occasional wine. Some people will say they'll all be studying Shastram, they'll all be going Monday to Friday, they'll all be studying all these things. Friday somehow happens. See, today is Friday. It's okay to have one glass of wine. So the person himself will satisfy. He also gives explanation about his own, commitment. Once a while is okay. I can have this one glass of wine. What Shastram says there, once you are committed to this path, these things will actually take you away from this, because it will be one initially, then it will become two. So this have capacity to create a mind which is not conducive for studying Shastram, etc. So he says smelling liquor. Then begging for food. So you must not be, due to Bhagavan's grace, we do not have any situation where we have to go and ask for food. But there are situations, there are people who are beggars, they go and beg for food. So it is because of the particular papam they have got through. So they don't have anything. So somewhere in the previous life or in the Janma, they have done something wrong by which they are now forced to accept this kind of things. So begging for food also is called Jati Bramshaha. Then we have something called Apatti Karana. Apatti Karana means, by example, not speaking the truth or siding adharma. So whenever, if you know that there's somebody doing adharma, one must not support adharma. You may not want to go and take action against the person, but you can just say that I do not want to be part of this anymore. Or I do not want to be part of this, I don't belong to this particular thing. So you can just stay away by protesting, by saying that I do not want to support this particular activity. When you know it is a dharma, so you do not do this. In Mahabharata also what happened? Duryodhana knew that he was doing adharma. And everybody in the court of Duryodhana knew that he was doing adharma. But they were all siding adharma, even though they knew dharma. All of them knew dharma. Everybody in that particular court knew that there was atrocity being created by Dushasana and Duryodhana against Draupadi. They all knew about it. They all saw the witness. But yet they were powerless because they were obligated, and this adharma which was there was covering their eyes completely. So because of that only they had to be extinguished. So yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya. Right? So whenever adharma is actually coming up, is actually growing a big way, at that time paritranaya sadhunam. So to protect the sadhus, I come. Correct? Sambhavami yuge yuge. So I come every yuga to protect the people who are following dharma. It is not for coming to punish the adharmis. By protecting the dharma, I am actually punishing the adharmis. It's not like the Bhagavan is coming there to protect, to give punishment to everybody. No. The Bhagavan is coming, or the reincarnation or a particular yuga is coming there to protect the dharma. In the process of protecting dharma, adharma will be removed. That is what happened in the war. So Krishna wanted to say, you do your dharma. You don't worry about what is happening to those people, because they are already, according to me, they are killed. They are already not there. Right. Then we have something called Malini Karana, or Malini Karana means small, like stepping on an insect or killing an insect, stealing fruits and flowers from a garden which doesn't belong to you, And for all those things, there is pariharam. See, in the Vedic tradition, all the sannyasis follow Chaturmasa Vrata. So Chaturmasya Vratam means what? During the rainy season, when the rain starts, they will actually not travel anywhere. Why? Because in the Chaturmasyam, when the rain starts to fall, you cannot see the floor. And there may be many insects, many crawling creatures, small, worms will be there, which is hidden behind the water, under the water. So you do not see clearly. So unknowingly, when you walk, on the water, it is possible that you will be stepping on those things and creating some himsa. So to avoid that particular thing, the sannyasis do not travel during the Chaturmasya. It's called Chaturmasya Vrataha. Okay. So Chaturmasya Vrataha. So this is all what he's asking there. Like out of all his dharmas, which is dharma, and because each dharma has got its own corresponding sins or pataka connected to it. Right. So Kim Japan Uchyate Jantu Janma Samsara Bandhanat. So by uttering which mantra or by uttering which prayer, Jantuhu means the human beings. Janma Samsara Bandhana. So Bandhanam means bondage. And Janmaha means birth. And Samsara means the continuous transmigration of birth and death. So we were born before. We would have been in some other lokaha, in some other form, and we have come to this form. We are never guaranteed that you will be human being next time also. If we have, somebody may ask, I understand what you're talking about, but can you guarantee that I will not be human being? Nobody can give any guarantee, because nobody knows who will be. This Janma, you have got human being, you have got human body, you make use of it. Don't talk about next Janma, because next Janma you don't even know. I will not be there to tell you who you are. You will not be there to tell me how you went through. So it is not practically possible. So make use of the time available. Understand that you have got this time and make use of it. And try to become wiser and spend the time on knowing the truth. So Kim Japan Uchyate. So Japaha means here talks about the prayer or the rituals or what one has to do, the human being has to do in the Janma to be free. And to be free, what Janma Samsara free means what? Freedom from birth and death. So if you want the freedom from birth and death, you must know what is birth, who is born and who dies. It's a different topic. It's a Vedantic topic which we can cover later on. For the class, you understand that you are not born, you are not dying also, in absolute terms. The physical form, you are born, you continue to live, and then you die. Just like everybody is a passenger in a bus. There's a bus stop which has come to your place, you get on the bus, you travel. Who is the bus? Your parents, or parents on the bus. Okay. So you have got onto the bus of your parents. Now you are traveling for some time. Your stop comes, they will get down. You continue for some time. Then you will get down after some time. Then the bus also disappears. There's no driver. So understand that the whole thing is just a journey. So everybody comes on their account, they get on their bus, the bus stop comes, they walk down, they go on their own way. You do not see them again, you do not see where they are gone. Because the whole life of the person is governed by their karmas and what they have done before, and that is how the person travels. So that's why we always say that you do not belong to the person, you're of the person. So the children are also, they are only through the person, not of the person. So understanding is very important that, I am the owner of the child. This is my son, this is my daughter. So in Bhajagovindan, you saw the class, right? who are your son, from where they came from, all these things. So anyway, so this is the question is asking, and now Bhishma is going to answer the question. What is he asking? Say Bhishma Uvacha Jagat Prabhum Deva Devam Anantam Purushottamam Jagat Prabhum Deva Devam Anantam Purushottamam Stubannama Sahasrena Purushas Satatotitaha Jagat Prabhum Deva Deva Anantam Purushottamam Stubannama Sahasrena Purushas Satatotitaha. So Jagat Prabhu. So what is the answer? He's just starting to explain. He has not covered anything. The questions which is asking is being replied as Jagat Prabhu. So this, the one who you are asking the question is the one who is Jagat Prabhu, the one who is the Lord of everything. So Prabhu means the one who is the Lord. And who is the Lord? Lord of the Jagat. So Jagat here means the universe or the world. The meaning for the Jagat is Jayate Gacchate di Jagat. So Jayate means what? That which comes, and Gacchati means that which goes. So this world always comes and goes for us. When you wake up in the morning, the world comes for us, or the world is there for you. When you go to deep sleep state, when you are not aware about your own self as to who you are, this world is not there for you. So the world appears to be coming and going, therefore it's called Jagat. So Jagat Prabhu. So the one who is supposed to be, and Prabhu also denotes two things. One thing is called Nimitta Karanam. You can write down Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam. Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam. That means a person who is responsible for the material aspect, also the intelligent aspect. So the cause and effect are the same. The one who is responsible for the cause and effect. So Upadhana means cause and Nimitta means the effect. So this Bhagavan is talked about Prabhu. He is the one who is responsible for the cause and effect, or Upadana Karanam and Jagat Karanam. So he does not need to go and look for additional materials outside of him to go and search. So for creating this Srishti, this universe, he would not have asked another Bhagavan, saying that, look, I am short of building materials. I can't create this particular human being. So can I borrow some technology from somebody else? No. He has got all the resources required, all the knowledge required, and also the capacity to create also. So we have three types of Shakti defined in the Shastra. What are those? Icha Shaktihi means the desire to create. Icha Shaktihi. Kriya Shaktihi. Kriya means the capacity to create. The desire to create. Icha Shaktihi, desire to create. Kriya Shaktihi, capacity to create. And Jnana Shaktihi, the intelligence to create. So one needs three of them. First of all, to do any activity, you need to have a desire. Number one. Second thing is, you must have the intelligence to do that. So if you have intelligence and if you have the desire, then you should also be able to have the ability to create also. If you don't have either one of them, then it is not possible for you to be the master, correct? So one has to be the master means one should be able to have the desire, one should be able to have the capacity to create, and also the intelligence to create also. So three things are required in anything. So that's why the Bhagavan is called Sarva Shaktiman. So Jagat Prabhu is equal to Sarva Shaktiman. So we are called Alpa Shaktiman. Alpa Shaktiman means we have got limited capacity. We can only create some small things here and there. That also we can't create 100%. We have to depend on so many things, so many people are there. So that's why Bhagavan is called Sarvagyaha, or the one who knows everything, Sarvagyaha. See, the word I'm giving because you're all studying Sahasranama, etc. Understand. But you will see that this is explained later on also. So Jagat Prabhu. Prabhu means the one who is the Lord. So Prabhu also equals the person who has got Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. Prabhu also means the one, it's called Sarvagyaha, or the one who knows all, Sarvagyaha. So in our culture, every Devata is Ishvara. Every Devata. Jagat Prabhu means what? When you say Jagat Prabhu, it is not like somebody sitting there in some Jagat and you're worshipping something. What it means is that every object here, every living being, non-living being is Ishvara, is Bhagavan. So we have a unique culture in Hindu culture where we respect even a small, paper also we respect. Because if somebody drops a paper also underground, we make sure that we do not use our feet to touch it. We spot, though there's a paper there, we take it out and we do not want it. Because why? Because the concept is Bhagavan. During Navaratri Puja, when you have, even we also make worship with the car also. So people are working in the factory, they offer flower to the screws and nut and bolt also they do. The machinery they do. Why? Because for them there is a Bhagavan. If there is no machinery, there is no nut and bolt. So I used to work for a company called GKW in India, Gaskin Williams. So if you go to the company there, you will find nuts are very rusty and rotten and you can't touch it. You hold it, you will be always grease and everything else will be there. But those nuts are the fundamental thing for any machinery. Without the nuts and the bolts, you cannot secure anything. So on a particular day, the Ayudha Puja day, they will worship every car, every bus, every structure, every machinery is there. Why? Because it's called Jagat Prabhu. So the one who is the overlordship, the one who is present in every living and non-living form is called Jagat Prabhu. So by worshipping, when you say Jagat Prabhum, when I say, it must not be literary sense. It must be taken as that I am worshipping every object in this universe as the Bhagavan. And Vishnu is present in every aspect of what I do. So this is the meaning of the Jagat Prabhu. And Devaha. So this Prabhu is also called Devaha. So what is Devaha? Deva is called Ishvaraha. So they say Deva means they have got celestial, or the one who has got special powers. It's called Devaha. So Ishvara is manifest in the form of the Jagat. That's called Devaha. So Deva Devaha means what? Lord of the Devas. So the one who is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent is called Devaha, the one who is present. See, all our Indriyam, see the power to see is Devata, correct? If you do not have the Devata, see, that's why we worship our eyes, our whole body is worshipped. In our culture, we do not neglect the physical body. We have to be clean. Our thoughts should be clean. We must use the eyes for seeing good things. This is a prayer mantra. I think, Bhadram karne bishruniyam devaha Bhadram pashyema kshabiryajatraha Sthirairangai tushtuvagum sastanubihi. So why do we say this? Bhadram karne bihi shruniyama devaha. Means, devaha means what? Let me hear only auspicious things. And Bhadram Pashyema Kshabir Jasitraha. So let me always see good things from my eyes. I do not want to see anything which is not good for me, for my mental development or spiritual development. So that is the meaning of that. So every indriyam, the power of seeing, the power of touch, the power of smell, taste, everything is called indriyam. They call devatas. So deva devaha means what? The Lord who is present in all these things, the deva of the devas. Correct. So the Bhagavan has given us that particular power for seeing. So we are obligated, we are thankful for that. So to that Bhagavan, he is that Lord. So Jagat Prabhum Deva Devaha. And how we see Anantaha. So Anantam means limitlessness, or the one who is not limited by anything. He is not limited by space. So you cannot say that the Bhagavan is only available in this puja room or is available only in me. He is present in every one of us as the one essence. So Anantaha. Right? And Purusha Uttamaha. So Purushottamaha, when you say Purusha Uttamaha. So we have in our culture, we have three types of people. Uttama Purushaha means the person on the highest order. Uttamam means high. Uttama Purushaha means what? A person who is of the highest order. Not in terms of height, in terms of knowledge, in terms of understanding, compassion, in terms of the knowledge about the self is called Uttama Purushaha. So the Bhagavan here also is called Purushottamaha. In chapter Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15 is called Purushottama Yoga. So Purushottama Yoga Namaha. So the entire chapter is called Purushottama Yoga. So there the praise is for the Bhagavan who is of the nature of Purushaha and who is Uttamaha, the one who is of the superior order. Right? So Uttama Purushaha. Then we have also Adama Purushaha. So Adama Purushaha is a lowly person who is actually at the lowest order. Then Madhyama Purushaha. So maybe we are all Madhyama Purushaha. We belong in the middle category somewhere. We are not lowly people also. We are also not very highly people also. We are somewhere in the middle hanging around, hoping that we don't go below and hoping to go above. Okay. So this is the categories. So Purusha Uttamaha, when he says here, this Bhagavan is of the nature of their attributes. See how the Bhagavan is asking. Ko dharma sarva dharmanam. Kim japan uchyate jantu. Right? Kam stuvantaha. Kam archantaha. The questions are being asked by Yudhishthira. So who is the Bhagavan? Who is the person who should be known? So for that the answer is Jagat Prabhum Deva Devaha. So he is the Jagat Prabhu. He is Deva of the Devas. He is Anantaha. He is Purusha Uttamaha. 4 definitions. Okay? So you can write down. Who is the Bhagavan? He says Bhagavan is of the Jagat Prabhu, the Lord of the Lord. Ishvaraha, Sarvagyaha, all these things are only our same thing. Then Deva Deva. So the one who is Lord of all the Devas also is Bhagavan. So you got Indra Deva, you got Agni Deva, Vayu Deva, all of them are Devas. And of all the Devas, he is Devadi Deva. And how is the Deva is of the nature of Anantaha, the one who is limitless, the one who is found everywhere. Just in, when Prahlada was asking this question about to his father Hiranyakashipu, what did he say? He says, I am the Lord of the Devatas. I am the Lord. Who are you worshipping? He said, you should worship me because I am the Triloka Devata. I have captured all the 3 lokas and you are worshipping some Vishnu who is actually, also I captured him. I have defeated him also in the war. So why are you worshipping him? So the ahankara of the person is there, correct? The ego of the person is very high. What the small boy says that he is present everywhere. So Narayana is present here, he is present everywhere. I see him everywhere. So it's called Anantaha, the one who is limitless in terms of space, time, and object. So there's no time when he's not available because he's beyond time. You cannot say that I can worship Bhagavan only now. You can worship Bhagavan anytime what you want because He is available to you all the time, 24/7. Even in sleep also, Bhagavan is there with you. But in unmanifest form, without knowing the Bhagavan is there, you are sleeping there. But there is always the consciousness of the Bhagavan which is there inside you all the time guiding you. So that Bhagavan is called Anantaha. And Purusha Uttamaha. So Purushottamaha, Anantaha, Deva Devaha, Jagat Prabhu. 4 definitions again the first line. Rohan, you're writing down, Rohan? Writing down, right? On the definitions. Then, Stuvan Nama Sahasrena. So,
Sir, Nitin is writing, sir.
who is writing?
Nitin.
Your mother is writing? Okay. So, Stuvan Namaha means what? Nama means the name of the. So, Nama means the name of the Bhagavan. Namaha. So, we have, Lalita Sahasranamaha, Vishnu Sahasranamaha. So, all of this is Namaha. Means they are names of the Bhagavan. Right? And Stuvan Nama. So, this Bhagavan which you are asking me to elaborate is known by Nama Sahasrena. I mean, there are 1,000 names of the Lord which I can elaborate to you. So, this Bhagavan whom you are talking about, of the nature of Jagat Prabhu, Deva Devaha, Anantaha, Purushottamaha, is of the nature of Sahasranamaha. The one who is of can be praised in 1,000 different names. Correct? And who is also Purushaha. Or the Purushaha means what? The person who is committed. The one who is committed to the pursuit of knowledge is called Purushaha here. Then, Purushaha Satatotitaha means Satatam Uttitaha Purushaha. So Satatam means always. Satatam means always. So the word you see here, Satatotitaha, you have to break it as Satam Uttitaha Purushaha. Means Satatam means always. So you cannot say that I only worship Bhagavan at morning 8 o'clock only. After that, my time is over. I do not have anything to do. No. It says a person should bring the Bhagavan or bring Vishnu in all the activities. Anything which you do is for the Bhagavan. So that is the attitude you have to bring into when you do activities. So that person is supposed to be the one who has got Sahasranamaha Stuvan. By praising the Lord. Stuvan means by singing or the praise, the glories of the Lord with this 1,000 names. So, Bhishma Uvacha Jagat Prabhum Deva Devam Anantam Purushottamam Stuvan Nama Sahasrena Purushas Satatotitaha. So, hope you got the meaning right. Nitin, Rohan, you got the meaning right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. Then next, he goes to number 10. Tameva charchayan nithyam, tameva charchayan nityam bhaktya purusham avyayam. Tameva charchayan nityam bhaktya purusham avyayam. Dhyayan stuvan namasyancha. Dhyayan stuvan namasyancha yajamanas tameva cha. So, Tameva. So, tam eva, it means what? Only you. Okay. Tameva means only you. Then Architaha. Tameva Architaha Nityam. So, Tameva Charchayan means Tameva Architaha means only you has to be worshipped. Who is the you we saw before? Who is this you? Jagat Prabhu, Deva Devaha, Anantaha, Purushottamaha, the one who is known as Sahasraha, Namne. So the one who is known as 1,000 different names, correct? And such a person has to be worshipped. Only you, tam eva, mean what? Only that person. You must not worship anybody else. Somebody else, has got higher power, a supreme power. You should not worship. You must not be offering worship to the person, because he is not Anantaha, he is not Purushottamaha, he is not Jagat Prabhu, he is not, all of he's not Deva the Devas. So there's a qualification given for the Ishvara. So the qualification is, these are the people who should be, only the Bhagavan should be respected and only he should be worshipped. So Tameva Charchayan Nityam. So one should always be worshipping the Bhagavan all the time. And how it is Nityam means always. Nityam means always. So the Nityam word comes from the word Karma Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. So Nityam is when you have always do activities for the Bhagavan, or you surrender your activity to Bhagavan. So you do not say that I do it, because in reality, you don't have the capacity to do anything at all. You yourself are the product of the Bhagavan, number one. See, the whole physical body, the mind complex, etc. is the prasadam of the Bhagavan. So you have been blessed with the physical body, you are blessed with the good health, the mind, intellect, everything, which is the Bhagavan's prasadam to you. And with this, gift given to you, you are actually creating something which also is actually a product of the Bhagavan. There is nothing which belongs to you here. The air doesn't belong to you here. The earth doesn't belong to you here. The sky doesn't belong to you here. The water doesn't belong to you here. None of them is actually created by you. So who are you, the person, to say that I created this? Because you yourself is not created first. The physical body itself is a product of the Bhagavan. Then the whole concept of the universal Panchabhutaha also is given to you. Then the technology available, raw materials, everything given to you. Out of that, you create something and you say that I am offering this to you, to Bhagavan. See this, how beautiful it is. Out of all these things you are creating, then you say what? I am offering this fruit to the Bhagavan. I am offering this to you. So I have already given you too much. I am going to give gold to you. You do not have anything to create, number one. You cannot even create a single grain of rice in this place. You know that? Because a single grain of rice also requires water, requires seed, requires rain, requires sun. So you do not even have the capacity to create even a single grain of rice. But yet, we have this capacity, big ego, say that we create everything. So that's why he says here, Tameva Charcha Nityam. So you are the one who need to be worshipped, nobody else to be worshipped. So that is where our humility has to come down. Our humility has to be brought down from that high level, come down to that level saying that, oh my God, I am just an ordinary person. I do not have any power to even to worship you. I do not have anything to offer you. So whatever I'm offering you is only your product. So I'm only giving back my gratitude to you. So you're not saying that, I'm going to give this to you. Like the Arthaji does. They negotiate. If you let my son pass HSC with good 8R marks, I'm going to give you $1,000. So there's a discussion going on with the Bhagavan, the negotiator going on there. A lot of people do that. They will worship, let me get a good daughter-in-law or a good son-in-law. I will come and do whatever you want, I'll come and do. So the daughter-in-law comes, the son comes, Bhagavan is forgotten. He's not going to come and ask. He's not going to come and ask you to say that, did you give, $1,000 to me? He's not going to come and ask you. It is our bhavaha, it is our attitude. So if you make commitment to that person, you fulfill it. So that's why he says here, Tameva Charchayan Nityam. So understanding who this is important. Okay? And Bhaktya. So you should be with Bhakti. You must not just to offer anything just without Bhakti. Right? Bowing down to him is called Bhaktya. So a Bhakta will always be, his head will be down. Bhakta will never be looking up like this. If you go to any temple, right? If you worship, there's a method of worshipping also. You never look at the Bhagavan from the top to the bottom. You always, because your head should be bowing down in structure. And when you bow down, the feet of the Lord is the one which is seen first. Because your position is always at the feet of the Lord, not at the head of the Lord. See, in the Bhagavad Gita also you see, when Krishna is sleeping like this, Arjuna comes first. Arjuna is sitting at the feet of the Bhagavan. Duryodhana comes later. And seeing Arjuna sitting there at the feet of the Lord, he goes to the head of Krishna and sits and stands there. So when a person is sleeping like this, when somebody is sitting here and when somebody is standing there, who is the person to be seen first? The feet of the Lord. Bhagavan, the person who is sitting at the feet, is the one the Bhagavan first sees. Because of the Ahankara which Duryodhana had, he was sitting at the back. Then, oh, I can hear somebody talking in the back. So, are you Duryodhana? I said, yes, I came first. But because he saw him first, the benefit of the bhakta is important. So, always be humility. That's why it says bhaktya. So, tameva charchayan nityam bhaktya purusham avyayam. See, the word avyaya is a very difficult word. I'll explain to you next class. We'll leave it for now. So, put a question mark there. Avyayaha means to be explained. Okay. Then, dhyayan stuvan namasyanscha. So, the one has to be meditated. Dhyayan. Okay. Then, stuvan means praise. So, you are the one to be given offering, archayaha, and how? Nityam, always. And how? With bhakti. So, you're given two things. So, you are the one to be given archanam, always, daily with bhakti. Then also to be meditated, dhyayan, to be meditated. You are the one to be meditated upon, stuvan, to be praised, and namasyaha. And you are the one to be offered namaskaraha. And who are you? Yajamanaha. You are the one who is the yajamana. So yajamana means the holder, or the one who is supposed to be the ruler, yajamana. So in your house, you are the yajamana. So when the priest comes to your house, he will say, who is the yajamana? I said, I am the yajamana. So it means you are the person who is the doer. Correct? He is only the performer. He only helps you perform the duties. But you are the person who is doing all the rituals. You are the person doing the Guru Dakshina also giving, right? So you are the yajamana. So the person residing there in the ritual is yajamana. The person who is supposed to be worshipped is the Bhagavan, Stuvan, Dhyayati Bhagavan, Bhaktihi with humility, Nityam always, and Architaha. So, who is to be worshipped is given the previous verse. What is the verse here? Jagat Prabhuhu Deva Devaha Anantaha Purushottamaha. Right? And the one who is supposed to be known by 1,000 names. Such a person is the one to be worshipped, is what is given. That's a very simple definition is given. Is it clear? Any questions so far? Hope you are taking notes, right? Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, if God made all these things, and then why did He create us, sir? Like, we are the enjoyer of everything.
Correct.
We don't invent, meaning we don't make anything.
We don't make anything.
Can't make anything.
Correct. The reason we are created because there has to be, we've got a lot of karmas to see. Hindu philosophy accepts karma philosophy. Like we are transitioning from different lokas. We have been there for many years before. So there has to be an option for the human beings or the jantus to become better. See, we already know that we are not there. So we are doing lots of mistakes. We are not following what is supposed to be there. See, this is all given when nobody was there also. So the Shastra was there. This is how you should live the life. But we are not living a life like this. So the opportunity for creating these humans was made by the Bhagavan just for helping us to make sure that we have the opportunity to redeem what we can do. All the papams which you do, all the sins which you do, or whatever we're doing, we have to make sure that we do this, and it's an opportunity for us to correct ourselves. So that is why there's really no real need for anything to create anything, because the Bhagavan doesn't have a wish to punish us, nor to make us enjoy. He says the whole Srishti is created out of his own desire to create. So the creation happened. It's a different topic. See, in the other suktams, Pusha Suktam, it is talked about elaborately here. But for the moment, your question is that the human beings have been created with an opportunity for them to correct themselves and follow what is required to be done, become a mature person, and to know this Bhagavan who is supposed to be there in this form. So that is the main reason for that. So that is why we study all these things, or we follow this particular path, ultimately to arrive at that. Later on, the same Shastram tells that this person whom you are worshipping is also not there. The same Shastram tells you that this Vishnu whom you are worshipping in a particular form is also formless. So you may be worshipping Vishnu in a particular form, doing archanam, doing chanting, doing puja, etc. This person also is not there in any form because he is formless, he is arupaha. That is a later stage. But this particular text is predominantly talks about the Saguna Brahma, or the one with attributes. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So you don't have to just keep following, because the questions are good. So I know you are thinking, which is a good thing. So Bhishma has just started opening his mouth. He has not even completed anything. So just only one year said that I'm outlining Jagat Prabhu Deva Deva Anantam Purushottamam. Correct? So then now he's going to start unfolding what these 1,000 names are. So in each of the 1,000 names, you will see the meaning of each of them differently. Correct?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Sheshadriji, any questions so far? You're okay? Peterji, you're okay? So we'll conclude the class here.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And we will meet next week again at 4:30. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste, Shubhratri to all of you. For those people who want to come to the Gita class, we have at 7:45. So you're more than welcome to attend.
Thank you, sir.
Harihi Om.